Okay, so good morning and welcome to this Year 3 Meet the Teacher session. These are really useful sessions, all about what you can expect from Year 3 in terms of expectations, in terms of the curriculum, in terms of homework. It's a good chance also to put a face to a name and for you to ask any questions that you might have. So about 20 minutes or so, and then there'll be a chance for answering questions too. If you do have any questions as we move through this session, please just pop them in the chat and then we will answer them all at the end. Okay, so again, welcome to this Meet the Teacher session. I'm going to pass over to the Year 3 team.
Good morning. So we'll just let you know who we are. So I'm Mrs. Hall and I teach Antelopes class.
And I am Mrs. Cooper and I teach Giraffes half the week.
And I'm Mrs. Collins and I teach Giraffes on Thursday and Friday.
And we also have some wonderful teaching assistants with us. Mrs. Mortimer tends to support in Antelopes, Mrs. Trainer tends to support in Giraffes, and we've got Mrs. Lumsden and Mrs. Rogan as well, who kind of work across the year group. So in Antelopes, this is how our day works. I think Giraffes is fairly similar, but this is generally what happens most days. So we let the children in from 8:40, as you know, and they come in and they have either arithmetic or handwriting or something to finish. And we do the register at 8:55 and then start maths straight away. Then we do whole class reading and try and fit in some story time as well before assembly. We only have assembly Monday, Wednesday and Fridays. So on the other 2 days, we have a little bit longer to share a story or do something like that, which is really nice. Playtime is 10:50. And then when they come in from play, we tend to do a little bit of SPAG, which is spelling and grammar and punctuation, for those of you that don't know, or some more sort of specific spelling practice. Then we have our English lesson. They have lunch 12:15, which is a little bit later than last year. They finished at 12, and then they come in at 1:15. And this is where we're doing our Sounds Right session. So that's continuing from Year 2 to carry on the learning of all of the sounds. Then after that, we do our foundation subjects, which we'll tell you a little bit about in a moment. And then, as you know, 3 o'clock is the end of the day, so we try and get them out on time as much as we can.
Then we have our giraffe structure of the day, which is pretty similar to Antelopes. The only thing that's really different is we've swapped our maths and English. So we do English in the morning rather than after playtime. Sounds Right, it's also in the afternoon, and foundation subjects. Everything else is really the same.
So this is our curriculum, all of the subjects that we teach. So English is the big one, really. We do reading, we can do phonics, which is our Sounds Right. We do writing, and we do a bit of extra spelling, punctuation and grammar as well. Maths, we're using the White Rose scheme from last year, which is lovely. It's really visual and really sort of supports their learning and their understanding in maths. Then we've got science, where we're using a scheme called Plan B. Again, it's got really lovely PowerPoints. It's all very visual for that as well. Then we have our PE, we've got PSHE, we've got art, we've got music, which at the moment they're starting to learn to play the recorder. Then our geography, history and RE is where we've changed it slightly and started a scheme called Opening Worlds. So we don't have one overarching topic, as you'll see in a minute. We kind of have 3, they're separate topics, but they all interweave together. So what you're teaching in geography one week will feed into your history and your RE lesson. So we're really getting sort of the depth of learning in there. And that's something that we're trialing specifically in Year 3 this year. And then we'll probably filter it up through the school. Computing, we've got a lovely scheme as well, where everything's there and it all leads up to sort of a task at the end. And then we've got our DT and French, which they're learning this year, which is different. I don't think they did French in Key Stage 1, did they?
So, vive le français.
Okay, so there's a lot of topics there, but this is because rather than having one overarching topic like we've had in the past, we have one for history, one for geography, one for RE, and it all sort of weaves in together. So this term we're looking at ancient Egypt in history, we're looking at rivers in geography, and we're looking at the Hindu story of Rama and Sita in RE. And it all sort of, we've already had links where we've been looking at the River Indus. So in RE, it explains that the word Hindu comes from Indus because the people lived in the Indus Valley around the River Indus. So that it does all link together. So I'll go through it quickly. So autumn 2, we're doing Cradles of Civilization, which is sort of the beginning of civilization. We're looking at ancient Mesopotamia. We're looking at mountains, which leads on from rivers, and then more Hindu stories. Then spring, we continue with the Hindu stories in RE. We go on to the Indus Valley civilization, linking to our rivers this term. And then we start to look at settlements and cities, where I think we look at, I think it's London and Cardiff or something like that. Then spring 2, we start to look at ancient Persia and ancient Greece. We look at agriculture, and RE moves on to Judaism. So we look at Abraham, Isaac and Jacob in Judaism. Then summer 1 continues with ancient Greece and volcanoes, both of which topics we've done previously in year 3. So that's really lovely because we can use a lot of the resources and a lot of the sparks and things like that that we've done before, and continue with Judaism as well, looking at some different figures in Judaism. Then summer 2, we finish with Alexander the Great. Geography, we look at climate and biome, and then continue again with Judaism, looking at some more figures and more stories from that. Do you want to do this?
Yeah.
So we'll be using Spark Days to start or end our topic, as well as different visits to support and sort of expand the children's learning. Really valuable experiences for our children, because it gives them that sort of different aspect of to develop there and understand and infuse them about our topics. So we've already had an artifacts box which we looked at in the first week back up to launch our topic of ancient Egypt. We're hoping to organise a visit to a Hindu temple before Christmas as well. Coming into
that's ancient Greece. Yes, we've used them before, so it's something we can carry on because it's the same topic. They're really good, so we'll probably use that to start our ancient Greek.
We're hoping to go to the British Museum. That will probably be sometime in the spring term, and of course they've got tremendous resources there to support all of our history topics that we will have covered by that stage. As I mentioned, the Hindu temple, we're hoping to go to either the one in Wembley or Neasden. That's in progress at the moment. And then later on in the summer term, to more support our sort of science topic that with perhaps a visit to Wisley or Kew. They're all sort of they're in the pipeline at the moment, and we'll let you know more details as and when we've got them.
I haven't put it on there, but also we've used the last couple of years a company called GeoBus for when we're looking at volcanoes and rocks and soils, and they were really, really good. So we can they haven't actually been able to come in the last couple of years. It's all been virtual, but hopefully we'll be able to get them in this year as well and actually have them come to school and do it with the children rather than over the screen. So our PPA is always on a Wednesday. This is where we're released to get our planning done, prepare for lessons and assess the children. So all 3 of us have it together on a Wednesday, and that's covered by Mrs. Coleman, who is teaching them to play the recorder, and Mrs. West, who's doing French with them.
We also have daily reading, which everyone is aware of, I'm sure, and we would like you to please make sure that you read with your child on a daily basis. It's really important that we read regularly with children because it's our foundation of all our studies within the school, and obviously it develops and helps them to understand and get comprehension through reading activities in school as well. They're also getting homework weekly now, and I'm sure you've seen the lovely books that we have as well. So they get SPAG and maths every week. They'll be given out on Wednesday, and then it's due in on the next Monday again, and we mark it in class with them. And if you can continue to do TT Rockstars with them weekly as well, that would be great. We have homework club on a Wednesday afternoon. I believe letters have gone out to the children we would like to attend. But if you feel like maybe your child should attend, we can always discuss that and see what we can do.
There are a few spaces, I think, so
Oh,
just
yeah.
ask us if you would like a space in homework club.
And that's it, really.
So expectations the same as Key Stage 1. Obviously attendance, get them in as often as they can, unless they're obviously unwell. It's supposed to be higher than 96%, but obviously as you get further through the year, the percentage goes up. So if they have a lot of time off in the autumn term, their percentage will be lower, but then if they're here the rest of the year, it will go up. So it's just get them in whenever they can. Uniform as well, expectations I think have been shared, have they? Yeah, it's the same as always. No jewelry, no large hair accessories, you know, proper school shoes, things like that. If there's an issue with uniform one day, because I know things get lost and they grow out of things, and if you just let us know in the morning, then we know that that's sort of being sorted. And PE days are Tuesday and Thursday for both classes, so they come in their PE kits, which they're doing already. So.
Can I just make a plea here on PE days? If your children, a lot of them are wearing lace-up trainers. If your children are coming to school in lace-up trainers on PE day, it would be really, really helpful if you can spend some time with them, teaching them how to do their shoelaces independently, because they do inevitably come undone during the course of the day.
So these are our values, again, the same as last year. We've got our 6 values, which we reward them for when we see them keeping them. We've got values tokens that we can give them, that we collect for their house teams as well. And we've also got little postcards that we may send home to certain children to recognise their efforts. So look out for those as well. We actually use these values when we talked about rules on day 1, and we've all sort of created something as a class that we can do to show that we're keeping those 6 values, and they've all signed it and all agreed to it. So I'm sure we'll have no problem with our behaviour.
Then we also have our behaviour system. I believe it's the same as last year. We have children will be awarded with values tokens, like Mrs. Hall has said. The tokens are collected in each class and then transferred to the collections near the office. And then the winning house team gets to have a special treat in school.
And we reward children in lots of different ways. They can get achievement certificates and behaviour certificates every week, and we love giving those out in assemblies. Every term we also have our special governors award for someone that's shown made the right choices sort of day in, day out over the course of the term, which is great. And primarily we like to spot children doing the right thing, because we think that's the best way to manage their behaviour. Obviously, children are going to make mistakes as they go through the school, and they will need reminding of that. If children do make mistakes or get a red behaviour, then they have a reflection time with an adult at lunchtime, where they just talk about the choice they made and what they could have done differently or could do differently next time to help them to learn from that behaviour. But if you are able to come next Wednesday, I'm doing a parent forum here at the school in the main hall. I'll be talking a little bit more about behaviour and some tweaks and changes we're making this year when children keep making those mistakes, and how we're going to support them to learn to stop making those choices.
Can I just say, add to that, reflection time is 15 minutes of lunchtime. It's not the whole.
Yeah.
I had someone who was worried that it was the whole entire lunchtime and they weren't going to get to eat or go out and things like that. They have 15 minutes just to reflect on their behaviour. So we encourage the children, if they're worried about anything, to obviously speak to us about it so we can try and sort it out. So we've told them they can talk to any member of staff they're comfortable with, talk to you at home, and then obviously do relay that to us, because quite often it's something they're really worried about is a really easy fix if we know about it, but they don't always come to us first. And also we've got in our classrooms a box where they can write a note if they're worried about something and pop it in the box, and then we can see that and then just take them aside and have a little chat if they don't actually want to come up to you and say it. So any concerns that you've got at all about anything, obviously first port of call always is the class teacher. There will always be somebody, whether it's a teacher or a TA, on the door or around the doors in the morning and at the end of the day. So if you just let us know, and then we can either try and speak to you then, or we can give you a call or something like that. If that doesn't resolve it by talking to the class teacher, then you go to the phase leader, who is me. So that's for both classes. And if that still doesn't resolve it, that's then when you would maybe take it to the senior leadership team and try and contact Mr. Tucker or Mrs. Coleman or somebody in the senior leadership team. And that's done through the school office, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can email the info account, which is the info@grovelands.surrey.sch.uk, and then your concern will be relayed to the relevant individual. So if you can't, if it's not possible to catch someone on the door in the morning, then do email that concern in, and it will be relayed to the right person who will get back to you as soon as they can.
And if it's a phone call that you want, then it's useful if you sort of include your number and when we can get you, because I know people work and obviously we can't always step out of class to do it. So if you sort of give us a rough time, then we can try and contact you. So parents' evenings will be, is it October, November?
It's so after half term. It's the second week after half term they're going to run, and they're a great chance to really touch base after the first half term and discuss how your child has settled into year 3.
Yeah, and then there'll be another one in the spring term as well. And then obviously the final term is their end of year report, as always. If you've got a child who is on the SEN register, we set them extra targets through a pupil passport. So we have an extra meeting every term just to talk specifically through those targets as well.
Okay, thank you so much to all of the year 3 team for that really helpful presentation. I thought it was really informative, so thank you so much for that. There aren't any questions in the chat at the moment. I'm just going to stop the share here. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to ask a question. I'll give you a moment to do that. Okay, well, thank you so much again. If you do have any questions subsequently, feel free to email them in and we will answer them. Again, it's been recorded, so please do share with anyone that hasn't been able to watch but would like to. We'll get the link sent out to you, hopefully later today, once it's been uploaded to YouTube. All right, thank you again for joining this session. Have a really great day and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.